This section is sped up a little bit by 1.5. Now in this part we are going to be working on the foreground element, just defining the shapes on those rocks. So far I wasn't sure what I wanted specifically on the foreground, so I left it till now, and I am exploring options that are a little bit more interesting. Right now it's just the one big mass and it has no definition, so I'm thinking of breaking it up with small shapes. Keep your eyes on the light direction. It should catch some light on the left hand side of these forms. So what you're seeing here is me struggling to come up with the shape. So I'm going back and forth without any progress. I'm putting down small brush strokes that's not really doing much to the overall. When you find yourself stuck, sometimes the best way is to just erase and redo. That's why it's important not to be too attached to what you have. Don't be afraid to redo, because sometimes it is actually faster, and here right now you're seeing me actually erase the whole thing and reworking on it. As you can see, it doesn't take that long to put down a few big brush strokes, so don't be afraid to erase. But I have kept the overall silhouette intact, so now this is making a lot more sense. As you can see, there is a progress now. Now with the brushes, you can actually do a lot with just a simple round brush. Play around with the shape dynamics, scattering, dual brush, and obviously the transfer settings. If you play around with these 4 settings, you can actually create some really interesting brushes just from the basic brush. I actually don't usually use the other settings, but I'm sure something cool can be created with other settings as well. Or if you're lazy like me, you can just find some brushes on the internet. It's everywhere. You can also create one from photos or images. Now these rocks are looking much better than what I had before. So I get these questions from students a lot about school, and I just wanted to talk about school from my point of view. I did study industrial design, but in all honesty, I didn't actually do well in terms of grades. Just in case if you're curious, in industrial design or product design, we don't really get taught art, or at least where I went to in Australia. So I didn't know anything about art until I decided to do this while I was working at Ford. The truth is, I do know a lot of people who have no degree and is doing well. And I also know people who haven't even graduated from high school and is doing well now in the industry. There is no rule to life. It's all about what you decide to take away from the experience. Now, one thing I do know about schools and teachers, since I started teaching as well, not all teachers care, and that is the truth. If you're wanting to go to school, please don't go for school's name. Look for the teacher's name. And another thing is, grades don't get you the job. When I was a student, I didn't do well in class, but what I did reasonably well was whatever I did outside class. I focused on getting experience after experience in real environment. One time, there was a job opening and few of us students were selected to take on a one-day project individually as a test. And this is a practical test directly from the company, not an assignment. People who were selected to take the project were a variety, but mostly top students. But unfortunately, they were not the ones who got the job, because none could actually finish it. The project was difficult, but it's the one who did whatever it took to get it done, because he researched and researched while everyone else took a break. And it didn't matter what grade he was getting at school, it was him who got the job. It's his attitude towards the job that got him in. And by the way, he was like the lowest or the second lowest grade. It's everything to do with your attitude, so try not to rely on the school to get you the job. Rely on yourself, your experience, your attitude, skills, and be willing to take responsibilities. Now I have added some cool greens to the foreground. And I'm also adding some small rocks around the character. I know it's looking a little bit flat at the moment, but we'll be adding some grass or even flowers later on. Just working to get those rocks right. Now remember that there's gonna be crevices between rocks, and those crevices should be really dark. It's really dark because it's basically an area where light cannot reach. I'm trying to add more variety of colors onto these rocks. And don't forget about bounce light as well. There should be some light on the dark side. But remember, bounce light should never be as bright as the light side. Never. It should stay within the dark tone. Just working on those smaller rocks. The colors in the foreground is a little bit empty at the moment, and we'll be adjusting that later. Just going back to that background rock, I think it needed some work. It needs some work. I mean, what I'm doing here is I'm just adding some warmth on the dark side of the background rock. Let's talk about advantages of going to school. One of the biggest benefits is the people you get to meet. You get to meet the teachers and fellow students in person. School can also get you visas easier. It will help you to also build discipline. It will get you involved in teamwork and all sorts of stuff. There are a lot of advantages. But in terms of life experience, stuff like your attitude, even your creativity, these are something that you are only able to build outside the school, and it is crucial and appreciated by others. And these things are not in the school's curriculum. So if you're only doing assignments at school, it's not actually enough to get you ready when you graduate. You have to go outside and get some life experience while you study. Go travel if you haven't traveled before. Traveling is a real eye-opener. It's really worth it. Work part-time, meet other people outside what you do, or even learn something outside you study. These extra effort will really help boost in your application. And like what I said in the introduction, there is no one single path. Be prepared to design your own path. I hope this helped. Let's move to the next stage.